The world ranking system, is it still fit for purpose? We'll look at how it used to work, how it works now, and of course the big question, is the current system actually fair? Welcome to Table Talk by Baize Breakdown, Snooker's newest discussion where I discuss the things you want discussed. My most recent poll asking you guys directly what you wanted episode 2 to be about got over 100 votes, with 39% of you choosing the world ranking system. So let's rewind to where it all started. Back in the 1975-76 season, the professional game introduced what was called the Order of Merit. It was based solely on World Championship results and it was simple. The winner got 5 points, the runner-up 4, semi-finalists 3, quarter-finalists 2, and anyone who reached the last 16 picks up 1 point. That's it. No complicated formulas, just points for performance. The following year, the official world rankings were born, using that exact same system. Over time, more tournaments were added and the same point structure applied, but from 1983 onwards, the World Championship was given double points to reflect its importance. Later tweaks made things a little more consistent. Most events gave the winner 6 points, down to 1 point for the last 32. The World Championship still held extra weight, offering 10 points for the winner, decreasing by 2 for each earlier round. There were even merit and frame points, used as tiebreakers when players finished level on ranking points, so it wasn't just about winning matches, but also about how convincingly you played. Then came the 1991-92 season, when snooker became open, allowing all players, not just the professionals, to enter. That meant the ranking system needed a total overhaul. According to legend, the new points allocations were literally scribbled on the back of a cigarette packet by the WPBSA chairman, but they did make one important change. If a seeded player lost their first match, they only got half the points that a non-seeded player would for the same round. The World Championship still carried more weight, and the UK Championship usually had the second highest tariff. That was how the system stayed, until the sport eventually scrapped points altogether. When Barry Hearn became chairman of World Snooker in 2010, he introduced a rolling 2-year system. That means your ranking is the total amount of prize money you've won from ranking events over the last 24 months. So basically, £1 equals 1 point. It seems pretty simple, and it seems like it should work, but there are frequent calls for it to change.
So why are there frequent calls for the current ranking system to be changed? Well, for what it's worth, I think that the changes in 2010 that Barry Hearn implemented, the pound to point system, was a very good change. I think it was needed. I think the old system, the yearly order of merit that was updated every year at the end of the World Championship, was completely outdated. We had tournaments throughout the season where you get the same matchups in the quarterfinals, the same matchups in the semi-finals, because the rankings wouldn't change. So obviously with the seeding system, the world number 1 could play the world number 8 in the quarterfinals 3 or 4 times a season, so you get the same matchups, which was really weird. You could be the world number 1 and play awful all season. And I remember they used to have the provisional world rankings, so you could be provisionally world ranked number 10 but still be world number 1 all season, which I think is just completely wrong. So Barry Hearn coming along in 2010 and changing the system to the pound to point system, which was updated throughout the season, was fantastic. I think it was very modern. And the way that the rankings and the way that the snooker tour was at the time, it made complete sense. The biggest amount of money, I think at the time, £250,000 for the world champion, I think £150,000 for the winner of the UK champion, and then below that was all the other tournaments. But as of 2025, I think we now need change, because I think up until COVID, the pound to point system was very good. I think it was the right system for snooker. But I think now, with the rise of the Middle East, the Chinese tournaments returning to the calendar with a lot of money, we need a point system, because you can't have the world champion earning 500,000 points and then the Saudi Masters champion winning 500,000 points. The Saudi Masters is nowhere near as prestigious as the World Championship. Wherever you want to put the World Championship, whether you think it should be, at the Crucible, or you're a modernist progressive that thinks it should be in Saudi Arabia or in China or in a different venue in the UK, the World Championship should always be the most prestigious tournament in terms of ranking event, and I think in terms of money. So there are, I think, plans maybe to increase the World Championship money this year. I don't think there's been a confirmation on it from the sponsors. It was £500,000 in May. The Saudi Arabia Masters winner, Neil Robertson, earned £500,000 this year already. So it would seem good if the world champion would earn more, maybe 700,000, 750,000 or more, and especially with darts world champion this year, in 2026, earning £1 million. The the fact that darts is owned by the same people that run snooker, you'd expect snooker to follow suit, but I don't know if that's going to happen. But for me personally, you have the UK Championship, which should be the second most prestigious ranking event on tour. It's, I think, £200,000 or £250,000 for the winner. It's not half as prestigious as the Saudi Arabian Masters, so we need to change it. And I think the current Players Committee, which has just been founded and headed by John Higgins, they want this to change. So what could a new system look like? Well, I think we've already discussed in this video a system that used to work in the 80s, 90s up until 2010s, which was a point system where the world champion would get the most points, obviously, and then you'd get less points throughout that world championship, say if you were runner-up at semi-finals. And then obviously you could get points for the UK Championship and all the other ranking events. And I think that every year they should be looked at in terms of prestigiousness. And I think money should come into it. I think the Saudi Arabian Masters, the fact that it is £500,000 for the winner, that should be one of the most prestigious tournaments on the calendar, but it shouldn't be in line with the World Championship. I think the Saudi Arabian Masters should be on the third tier. I think obviously the World Championship should carry the most points for the winner. Then I think the UK Championship should be underneath it. And on the third rung, I think you should have maybe the Tour Championship, the Saudi Arabian Masters, the International Championship in China perhaps. And then underneath that, you should have the likes of the Players Championship, the World Grand Prix, maybe another few events in China. And underneath that, you can have your home nations events, your British Open, blah, blah, blah. I think that would work. And I think a point system that could be implemented quickly, as well as reviewed every season so that it was fair, I think would be perfect. The pounder point system was obviously a very good system, but now the fact that there is disproportionate levels of money in the game, you can't have the Saudi Masters champion earning the same amount of money as the world champion and then having the same points. You know, that is not how we run our sport. Unfortunately, I will be getting into whether I think that the World Championship will stay at the Crucible and should stay at the Crucible in a future video. But my personal opinion is that the Saudi Arabian Masters having the same amount of money as the World Championship means that the World Championship may just end up in Saudi Arabia, which would be awful for the sport in my opinion. But I think that is actually a real possibility. So let me know, guys, what you think about the current ranking system, whether you think it's a problem. Like, subscribe, comment down below, get involved in the discussion. I'll be putting up a poll soon to give you the opportunity to vote on what you want me to talk about in episode 3 of Table Talk. So thanks, guys. Continue with the support, like button, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.